Hey, everybody. Boy, I tell you what, you guys are in for a treat today. You're going to learn that you have a valuable resource right here in the Treasure Valley to help you out with so many of your problems. Do you have problems? I'm pretty sure you do. Let's find out more next. Hey, everybody. Dave Edwards, Treasure Valley Dave here. You know you're a great real estate agent by your side when it comes time to buy a home, sell a home, or even relocate to the Treasure Valley. And if you're going to relocate to the Treasure Valley, you might end up buying a home that, I don't know, has a yard, and you might need some stuff done with that, and you don't know where to turn. I have a great idea for you. You're going to turn to Nick, my buddy Nick right here. How you doing, Nick?
Good, Dave. How are you doing?
Hey, fantastic. Thanks for stopping by here in the studio. So you're Idaho Custom Landscapes.
Yes, sir.
What does that mean?
So that means we are a landscape project company. So we do most everything besides mowing and applications.
Okay.
We want to help your friends and family and clients with their projects.
So if I need someone to come by my property every week to mow the yard, that's not you guys.
No, generally it's not us. If you're in North Nampa, we would entertain it.
Right.
Reach out to us and we can have that conversation. We're more geared up to do projects, whether that's water features, irrigation installation, softscapes like mulch and rock, edging solutions,
Okay.
retaining walls, pavers. We want to install a project for you, or maybe you have a landscape that needs a refresh. Then
Okay.
we're a good fit.
So you sit down with the people, you have the piece of paper, and you start drawing out some ideas. The people start telling you things, and you start to take that with reality. And it seems like there's one part of this process that's missing, though.
Which part, Dave?
Could be the budget.
Yeah.
You're going to help them figure out what they can get and what they can afford and still make it look nice.
Yeah. So basically, we have a small process in place. We start with, we want to know the motive of why somebody's calling. Are they calling for a brand new house that doesn't have a backyard? Do they have a landscape design they've always wanted forever and they need a professional contractor to install it for them? Or is this just, hey, my yard got away from me. Maybe we need to take it out and redo it. We've helped clients with all three of those. And basically, this is how it works. If somebody calls us, reaches out to us, we try to find out the motive of their project. After that, we actually go to budget right away. We want to make sure we're a good fit for whoever is calling us, whether it's residential or commercial. We want to make sure all the people that influence that decision are present. And we just ask that people are truthful with us. So like if at any point somebody were to say, hey, Nick, we're a great fit, let's do this. Well, that's great. And we're going to be truthful with them if at any point we're like, hey, I don't know if this is a good fit.
Right.
And on the flip side of that, we just ask that people are truthful and honest with us if they reach a point where they're like, hey, thanks for your time, thanks for whatever we're talking through.
Right.
But we might not be a good fit. And then the fifth part, Dave, is we have a consultation fee. So when we're ready, we're within budget, it seems like we're a really solid fit, we ask for a small consultation fee. And what it really is, Dave, is it's the beginning of your project.
So put some skin in the game.
Put some skin in the game.
Okay.
We want to help people that want to be helped, and they want a professional contractor.
I'm seeing the parallels to the real estate because, we have clients and we want to provide them with all the help that we can. But then our buyers, they have to come up with some earnest money to put this skin in the game to show that they are serious.
Yeah, well, the skin in the game, we make it real easy. We ask for a $150 consultation fee.
Oh my, that's compared to what I charge people. That's fantastic.
And this is the way we look at it, Dave. If we're at the point where it's like, yeah, come out to the house and measure this and get the material figured out and get the labor figured out and put that quote together for us.
Right.
We want to. We'd love to. But we look at it as this is really the start of your project. So what we do is we take that $150 and we apply it to your project. And as long as we go through and we secure a contract and we get going with your project, we just look at it as the beginning and we put it right in there. But if we get on site and maybe there's a digging element that nobody saw or foreseen through a phone conversation,
Right.
and it blows the budget out of the water, and maybe we need to pause on the project and regroup, we simply ask for that $150 for our time. And some contractors like to, some don't, but for us, it seems to work. And the right clients tend to continue on with us
Gotcha.
when we use that.
Excellent. Well, This is a business that you started on your own, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Because you're not a native Idahoan.
No, our family is not. We moved here from the Midwest, from the south suburbs of Chicago.
Really?
Yep.
Did you know Bad Leroy Brown?
I've heard of him a couple times. There's a couple of radio stations that talk about him a lot back there.
There is. Oh my gosh. Do you miss the pizza?
I miss the pizza really much so, but I can tell you, you're a food guy, Dave.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Food motivated right here.
So we have made friends with a pizza place in Meridian called Chicago Fire.
Oh really?
From what we can tell, it's the closest to Chicago pizza, whether it's deep dish or thin.
Right.
I highly recommend you go check it out.
You guys, who wants to go look at houses and stop by there for lunch with me? You
Yep.
just let me know.
Yeah, they got a good group of people that'll take care of you there.
Nice. So you moved here from Chicago. Was it, just all like Skittles and unicorn farts and stuff like that? Or?
No, I mean, it wasn't quite unicorn farts and rainbows.
Right.
Our transition was a little bit different than the typical transition. My background is a union electrician, so I'm actually a master electrician as well. And the blue collar trades in different markets, I'm just going to shoot it straight, Dave. Their pay is a little bit better than here.
Okay. So the Boise area, Idaho, well, this area that you know of is, I think we all kind of knew that wages aren't what they are in other places.
Yeah, we wanted a change of pace, and we knew that if we never moved away from Chicago, we never would.
Right.
So my wife and I made a decision that we wanted to be by the mountains. So we looked at Colorado, we looked at Utah a little bit, and then we had been to Boise for 1 8-hour period in 2014.
Okay.
One day ever in our life.
That's all it took.
And when we started, that's all it took. When we started talking about moving and we looked at the prices in Colorado and Utah and Idaho, late 2020, early 2020, the prices here were a little bit cheaper than a Colorado market and a Utah market.
Right.
So when we moved here in November of 20, and we bought our house in North Nampa in March of 21. Between the time that we landed and the time we bought our house, the market here, as you know, went up a little bit.
So it was on a rocket ship.
So that same home that we bought went up $60,000 between November 20 and March 21. So when I say it wasn't all unicorns and rainbows,
Right.
we hit the market on that upswing, and the combination of the wages for blue collar construction compared to different markets, it's about, I don't know if you'd agree, maybe a third, maybe a quarter less than other markets here on the check.
Right.
So that combined with the housing market going up, we kind of felt it from both ends
Put the squeeze on you.
a little bit.
Yeah.
We didn't have a different metro market on the West Coast where maybe you can come here and pay cash for a house. We didn't have that blessing.
A lot of people did that, yeah.
And we're super happy for the people that did. But this is just our little family's, truthful transition here. It's taken a minute to really graft into Idaho and kind of find our footing, I guess is how I'll put it.
So from the societal side of things, you're from the Midwest. Did you have a problem? I mean, do people out here seem nice like they are typically in the Midwest?
I think if you meet people that are open-minded about people coming here, I think absolutely. I think the Treasure Valley is going through a growth, and you're going to have your people that like it and your people that don't, Dave.
Right.
I think overall the people here are really great.
Yeah.
But like any metro, big or small, you've got different people, and not everybody's going to agree on everything. So coming from the Midwest, I think the people are pretty good. I think the nature is outstanding with what we have access to. If we go north into the mountains, up 55.
Right.
If you go up 95, a different set of mountains. If you go out to the Owyhees, you have the desert. That blew me away when we moved here. The fact that you go an hour this way, an hour that way, and you're in like two different climates almost.
That's right.
You can go up to 7,000 feet and be in the trees, or you can go out to 110 degrees in the desert and hang out with the snakes and stuff.
And a couple of hours out and you're on the craters of the moon.
Yeah. And the craters of the moon, if you ever come through here, definitely check it out. It's
Yeah.
really neat. But I think the food scene here,
Yeah.
It's improving. We've been here almost 5 years,
Okay.
and I love food. I'm a Midwestern guy,
Right.
I just love food, and each year it seems to be getting better and better and better here.
Okay.
So I think with your taxes, hands down, Dave, it's better here.
Is that right?
Hands down.
Are you talking like property taxes?
Oh,
and-
I'm talking the whole ball of wax, Dave. Property taxes, we're talking payroll taxes.
registering your car?
Registering your car, Dave, that's a good one.
Yeah.
We are able to register our vehicles for 2 years for less than it costs for 1 year in Illinois,
Yeah.
basically. Utilities. Utilities are a lot cheaper here than the
Right.
Midwest. Groceries, I think, are pretty much on par, though. I think groceries, from what I'm hearing across the country, are
Yeah.
kind of steady. I don't know if you're hearing the same thing from your West Coast friends.
I've noticed that too. When we moved up, groceries are about the same price.
Mm-hmm.
Beer was actually a little bit more expensive up here.
Well, they got to ship it here.
I guess so. We don't have any distilleries, which is why for gasoline, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why our gas prices aren't as cheap as they would be in Alabama. Or
You know, you bring up a good point. I noticed with gasoline, we have places like Conrad Bischoff where you can get ethanol-free gas,
yeah,
and you can get different grades of gas, in my opinion, much easier than different metro markets. So the fact that people here embrace the outdoor lifestyle more, I think it's just different. And there's a little something here in the valley for everybody. You can go to Boise and be close to a little more of that nightlife type atmosphere.
Sure.
And then you'll meet people from all over the valley that love the outdoors, whether they're hikers, whether they're bikers, whether they want to just go for days on end and camp. And then
Right.
you have the other ones that are, hey, let me hook up my travel trailer, and that's our camping.
right.
But you're going to meet a lot of great people here. It's becoming a small melting pot. I'm trying to think of anything else with like the money side of things of moving here. Did we
let me
miss
add-
anything?
Well, let me ask you about this. So you started your own business. How would that be different than what you experienced back in Illinois?
I would say that the entrance to owning your own business has been much easier in Idaho. They make it a lot easier on the licensing part of things. The fees are definitely a little bit cheaper than Illinois. We've owned and opened 2 businesses here, 3 actually. We're committed to this business now because this is our passion. This is what we want to do going forward.
Right.
We also had an electrical contracting business and a financial coaching business because we have a skill set that goes a little bit beyond Idaho Custom Landscapes. But with opening Idaho Custom Landscapes, I can tell you that Idaho is probably the most small business pro place I've ever been in the country,
Nice.
hands down.
Excellent.
There are people that want to see your business thrive, survive. People support small business here, and it comes from both residential and commercial clients. They have a community all across the valley that I think really wants to see everybody succeed, which is a nice, refreshing change.
Yeah. I've noticed very similar things coming up here from California.
Yeah.
So fantastic. So you brought up a good point that it's easy for people to get into business here, but Nick was giving me some advice earlier that not everybody is, what they seem to be. I mean, we're not California or anything like that, but he did point out these resources that you guys can check out yourself, and that would be Doppel, and it's not doppelganger, it's just Doppel. And this is where you could come, and there'll be a link down in the description, but you can search for a license and find out if that landscaper out there or electrician or whatever is, or real estate agent is actually licensed or not.
Well, and with our Facebook groups that a lot of us are part of, and with the World Wide Web,
Right,
you can find anybody to do anything for you in this day and age.
right.
And here in the state of Idaho, I can tell you that Idaho Custom Landscapes is a licensed and insured company. And the reason I sent you this link is if somebody was looking for anything, any service, they can go here and click on search for licenses, type in the company that they're talking to,
Right.
and make sure, if they need a license from Doppel for whatever they're doing, make sure that they're registered with Doppel.
Right.
And then the other link is, this one is for Idaho Secretary of State.
Okay.
So like Idaho Custom Landscapes, we're registered with the Idaho Secretary of State. If you
Right.
type in Idaho Custom Landscapes, you can do it now and we'll come up. Our parent company is Red Pine Helps LLC, and we are doing business as Idaho Custom Landscapes. So there's our assumed business name.
There you are.
We filed it 2/17 of this year. And if you go back to the search, Dave, and type in our parent company, Red Pine Helps LLC. So click on that one. And that is our LLC filed with the Idaho Secretary of State.
Okay.
And whatever service, whatever contractor people are looking for, you can go on here and see if they're actually a legitimate Idaho business, is why I wanted to bring this point up.
Excellent.
Because there's a lot of contractors that may or may not be on the up and up. And if somebody wants to use it, here's a little, crash course on navigating to it.
And that's very important. But another really important thing is, if I'm hiring somebody to do something, I'd like to see what they've done before. Mm-hmm. So do you have any pictures of what you've done before?
Yeah, we've sent you a couple that you can follow us on Facebook at Idaho Custom Landscapes. And as we do projects, we simply upload before and afters. We ask for permission from who we're doing work for. Mm-hmm. This one here was an HOA that wanted some signs put up because if you look in the background of that picture, they are riding dirt bikes and electric bikes, and you can see the tire marks where they're just tearing up a retention pond. So the HOA
Right.
approached us and asked us for a quote. We gave it to them, and they awarded us a small contract to install 4 signs throughout the HOA.
Okay.
As we go through our pictures, this is a refresh we did last week, actually.
Okay.
Residential in Nampa. And as we scroll through them, there's the before. And if you go back, that's the after for just putting in a simple edging,
Okay.
some better landscape fabric. This client picked out some rainbow rock, which is super neat rock that's mined in Montana.
Okay.
Really colorful. And we have just been uploading our before and afters, and the more people follow us, they can come along on the journey with us.
So it doesn't have to be a whole full-blown,
No.
going to replace the entire yard. It could be little projects.
Yeah, this project is what we're calling phase 1.
Okay.
So they actually want to redo more of the front yard, but their budget allowed for a phase 1. So we completed this phase 1, and we actually have another residential client in Nampa.
Right.
Same thing. And we are about ready to start a third different residential client that we had the conversation about the whole scope, but it made more sense for them to do a little smaller chunk right now.
I like that.
So we're happy to work with people where they're at. This one is in Meridian. The homeowner just didn't like his yard, and it was kind of lumpy, and he had dogs that had kind of torn it up.
Okay.
So this is at the end of the day, after we put an inch of topsoil in,
Right.
because our land here is clay loam,
Got a lot of clay, huh?
a lot. And we study it for different reasons on different projects throughout the valley. We don't have good soil characteristics. So whenever we do sod, we bring in about an inch of topsoil. When I went back to this property, I pulled up a piece of sod just to look at it.
Yeah.
What do you think I found?
Worms.
Yes, we found worms.
That's a great sign.
The crazy thing is, when we were prepping this property, we had to dig a small trench and do some dirt work.
Yeah.
There was not one worm.
Huh.
So once we brought in that topsoil that had some nutrients to it,
Right.
laid out our new sod, there was worms. And I couldn't believe it. It was so cool to see.
They found their way there.
They found their way there. And I'm going back to this property. There's the before. So their yard wasn't brutal by no means.
Right.
But when you really walked it, there was slope issues. You can kind of tell in the after, we raised it a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I need to go back and adjust their sprinklers when we get irrigation turned on.
Right.
But now they'll have a yard that they're super happy with.
Excellent. Wow. So that's a pretty good size job.
That was about 600 square feet.
Okay.
And this is another one that we did a phase one. The homeowner, older lady, single lady, widow. And she's like, Nick, this is kind of what I'm thinking. I can afford this up to this point.
Right.
I said, great. Let's just get that first part done. So she wanted some daylilies,
Right.
some black mulch, and a new edging to delineate between the turf and the rock. And, second phase of this is going to be introducing more mulch, removing more of the rock, and then that tree, we're probably going to source a new tree that she likes.
Ah, okay.
Trees are one of our favorite things that we like to do.
Right.
In the Treasure Valley, if you come from an area that is lacking or that has a great tree coverage in your area, the valley's a little bit young in that, and we need more trees here. Mm-hmm. It'll help with the temperatures in the summer,
Right.
shade, etc. So we're absolutely thrilled when we get the opportunity to plant a tree, and we make sure we plant them at the right depth.
Right.
We stake them generally for a year. We bring a drip line to them if it makes sense. Mm-hmm. And if you ever need any tree work, Dave, let us know.
You guys put that in your toolbox.
Yep. And then this is an HOA park
Okay.
where the playground chips had eroded.
Ah.
And I think the next picture might show, I don't know if we can zoom in on it, but basically you can kind of see that it was a couple inches low. And I was able to, we were so busy just in the moment doing the project that I didn't get a full before we started laying in the new. But that's actually playground mulch that's actually made for it. It actually almost has a spring to it when you walk on it. It's super weird when you first walk on it because you're kind of bouncing along a little bit.
Okay.
So when they process the playground mulch, they process it in a way where a kid, falling off the slide or just being a kid, they fall, but it's a little bit of a cushion landing.
Nice.
So we helped this HOA with that project, and now the kids have mulch all the way up to the sidewalk again.
And moms and dads are going to worry just a little bit less.
Yeah. So this one is a commercial project where there was about 1,000 feet of turf
Yeah.
in a common area that they had battery timers for the irrigation. So going back 10 years when the subdivision started building out, along the way they didn't have a regular irrigation controller. So the HOA approached us, and last year we had both our electrical and our landscaping open. Mm-hmm. So we installed that electrical service and that Hunter ACC2 decoder system.
Yeah.
And basically that system runs off 2 wires. And we had to get to 24 different zones to wire it in. So we installed the electrical service, we installed the irrigation controller,
Right.
and went both ways to pick up all the irrigation boxes and wire them up so that this HOA in this area can now be on a regular timer.
Right.
Instead of the little battery 9-volt puck ones,
Yeah.
which people were taking the 9-volt out, which would then not allow the irrigation system to water, which would then kill the turf. So the HOA said, hey, I think we want to invest in this because we need an actual controller that people can't mess with as much. And they allowed us to put it in. We worked with another company to bore underneath the street to pull power there.
Right.
And then we went left and right, putting our wires in, and now we are ready to turn it on and program it for the spring here, probably this week.
When the irrigation comes on.
Which we're all waiting for patiently.
Right. So what I'm hearing is you're doing landscaping jobs, from little tiny jobs that, the little old lady widow, she can only afford this much, and that's fine. The bigger jobs, and then these massive jobs for, HOAs and things like that. It's like, you guys really do it all.
Yeah, we try to be a one-stop shop for landscaping projects is what our vision is for this. And with my 20 years in construction and maintenance of residential through industrial, we are just working to create good relationships and let this thing flourish. And we're trying to fill our cup up. And once we get busy enough and our cup fills, we want to bless others, and we want to let that overflow, bless others with work, whether we do a scholarship, whether we do something for our community. There's so many options, and we're in year 2 of the landscape part.
Right.
But I have all of my experience from the last 20 years that are going into this company that we're trying to get going.
And you've got a giving heart.
Yes. Oh yeah. We've been through some stuff in our life, Dave. We've been through some adversity. Going back real quick to the education part, I've got my 2-year degree in construction technology.
Okay.
I'm about halfway through a bachelor in construction or facilities management. That one's kind of gotten pushed on the back burner as we try to grow this.
Sure.
But we're a good mix of old school and new school. We want to be able to help people that want a professional, and we have been through some stuff, Dave.
Yeah.
And that kind of comes through in how we try to help people.
Well, I know you're a very humble, giving man. So whatever it's happened to bring you to this place, it's been a blessing that it's happened.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Dave. It's been a journey is what word I'm going to put on it right now.
Well, talk about the journey. We've got a couple pictures here.
Yeah, I sent you a couple pictures from our journey. That's my family. That's Angela, my wife.
Right. Looks like that was like last week, right?
Yeah, that was like, truthfully, that one's a couple years, Dave.
Okay.
And we're out hiking, but on the right, that's Trent. On the left, that's Luke, Angela, and myself.
Nice.
We love to be outdoors when we can. And,
welcome to Idaho.
Well, and Idaho has it here for sure.
Yeah.
And we haven't even scratched the surface of it, Dave.
So what's going on here?
Oh, there's a picture of the old building that blew up when we were in it.
You were in this building.
Yeah.
And it blew up.
Yeah, August 30th of 18, I worked for the Chicago Water Reclamation District, which handled all the wastewater for Chicago, and I was an electrician in-house. And myself and 9 other guys were in the building working. We were trying to get a part of that middle part there up and running. And we had a methane gas explosion, and none of us passed away.
Nobody.
I was in the hallway to the right. You can kind of see the little roof and the 2 big pipes that are bent over. That's where I was standing.
Wow.
When it happened. So that happened August 30th of 2018. But prior to that, we had other stuff.
Hey, there you are.
Hey, that's me.
What
Look
are
at
you
that handsome
there?
guy.
Looks like you've been through the ringer or something.
Yeah, that's actually the start of this whole big journey. That's actually my very first day being hooked up to chemotherapy.
Oh my gosh. You have been through a lot.
Yeah, I'm a stage 3A testicular cancer survivor.
Oh, wow.
So we started that journey in May of 17, and that lasted until about Labor Day of 17.
And then 18, you're in the building.
Yep.
That blew up.
Yep. Then everything kind of caught up in 19. Went through a little PTSD, a little like, okay, what just happened the last 2 years? And finally stuff started catching up to me. And then 2020, we were like, you know what? If we never move, we're never gonna.
That's true.
And Ange had visited Colorado. I'd visited Utah throughout my life. We made that 1-day trip to Boise.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. Here we are in Nampa, Idaho.
Nice.
That is my very last day of chemotherapy.
Okay. Well, you're saving on haircuts.
Yes. Yeah, the haircuts were the easy part. I mean, if you look real close, Dave, even the eyebrows. See how they got real nice and faint?
Wow.
Yeah, the eyebrows got the special treatment too.
Dang. It looks like you were, keeping a pretty good attitude.
We tried. I did the best I could, and I don't wish that on anybody, Dave.
Right.
I got super fortunate that they caught it, and I was able to go through all the stuff I went through. You're seeing me in that picture. Truthfully, Dave, I'm eating some type of garbage food, animal crackers maybe, and I'm trying not to puke them up, Dave, because the chemo does some weird stuff to you.
Oh.
So I was very blessed and fortunate to be done with that around Labor Day of that year.
Right. So, Nick's got a great service here. And if you are thinking about maybe you need some work done on your landscaping, big or small or whatever, I think you guys need to get in touch with him. But until that day comes that you're ready, I suggest you go ahead and go to his Facebook page. Links down in the description below. And go ahead and like his page. And then you'll get some notices when he uploads some new pictures. But if you want some more information, come over here to Nick's webpage. And there's going to be links down in the description below. You can come over here and you can check out all sorts of groovy stuff. Like you can come over here to see pictures. Because there's a lot of power in seeing what jobs that Nick has done before. He's pretty good about putting the befores and the afters in here. And it does make a huge difference. A nice yard. That's the one nice thing about the Treasure Valley is we do have this pressurized irrigation just about everywhere that there's no reason you can't have a beautiful looking lush yard. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of you wanting to do it.
Well, and right now we're going through a little bit of a transition too, Dave. The newer subs, as you're probably seeing, are transitioning to more of a rock in the right-of-way between the sidewalk and the street.
Right.
So xeriscaping is starting to make its entry here.
I'm seeing that also between the side of the house and the fence.
Mm-hmm. So if you have your current landscape and you're like, hey, I don't want the sod anymore. I want rock. We would love to help you with that. That's one small example of how we can help you.
Low maintenance. Mm-hmm. I like it. Also, while you guys are here, just go over here to click here to contact. You can give him a call. I'm pretty sure he'd take your call unless he's out there and doing some work in the yard.
Yeah, if we're on a project at this point, I'm still on the project doing the work.
Sure.
But the easiest way is to fill this form out.
Okay.
And within about a 24-hour period, we're going to get back to you. I'm going to call you back. At the very bottom of this form is the phone number. But that allows you to kind of send us, where the address of the project is, what you're looking to do. Right. That way I have a general idea. And depending on what you put in the description, I might be able to just quote that from what you tell us in the tell us about your project part of that form. Or we might have to have a phone call.
Sure.
And walk through that process.
I imagine that one of the calls you're going to get a lot is new houses, like CBH houses. Mm-hmm. CBH puts in the front yard. The backyard is dirt.
Yeah.
And so that's when someone can call you and say, hey, I need irrigation. I need some grass. I need some edging.
Yep.
Need a tree would be nice.
Whatever they want. Maybe a water feature. But we talk about one thing before everything that you just mentioned.
Right.
We talk about the dirt. We talk about water drainage.
That's true.
We have, painting with a broad brush, we have some issues with water drainage here in the valley due to the clay loam.
Exactly.
So we actually install engineered French drains, and we size them based off of a 25-year rain. So they have the capacity to actually take on snow melt or a heavy rain. So a lot of people want whatever design they want, but we don't think about, what about underneath the surface?
Right.
So we actually usually start that and kind of look at it holistically. That way the install's something they can just enjoy for a long, long time and maintain.
Right.
So that's where we start.
And I have heard that we do have a problem with water in the Treasure Valley with that dirt, that some of the builders require that you put in grass or sod within a very short period of time in your backyard after moving in to try to absorb some of that water that otherwise just flows freely, especially if the neighborhood's on a little bit of a slope.
Yeah, and the grading from some of the new builders is not perfect.
Uh-huh.
And another piece of information that we could share, in the state of Idaho, we're supposed to retain all water on our property. Mm-hmm. So that means you can't just shed your water to a neighbor because you don't like them or you disagree or just insert whatever here. You have to figure out a way, whatever rain comes from your property, whether it's rainwater or irrigation water, you can't have it just run off into somebody's property or a common area, et cetera.
Well, that sounds great in theory, but if your whole yard is clay, what are you going to do?
Dig it up and put a French drain that's engineered to handle that.
Gotcha.
And then for the gutters, we actually bring the gutters to a well. Uh-huh. So they get their own system that's sized the same way off a 25-year rain. And then the French drain is more for the surface water.
Right.
So it's two systems that work together to get water into the ground, deep into the ground, so you don't have to worry about it up on the surface.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's probably easier to do this when you first move into the house, when the whole backyard is already tore up.
Oh, yeah.
But if it's been 10, 20 years, they can still give you a call. And
Oh yeah. Then it's just a matter of, we've got to dig into the ground and install the right materials at the right space. And we can still take care of that, Dave, but in a landscape that's been established for 20 years, yeah, it's definitely a little bit harder than a bare dirt yard, but we can do that. Well, and here's what happened with our CBH home. We actually were one of those people, Dave.
Okay.
With the melt-off and rain we just had, maybe 8 weeks ago, maybe a little bit longer, we actually had about an inch of water in our crawl. So we didn't have gutters put on yet. So I had my buddy Isaac from Sawtooth Gutter Solutions come by and put gutters on our house.
Right.
And I'm curious to see with the next heavy rain how that just helped. But what we do, even on our own home, we're not immune to this, Dave.
Right.
We're going to be going from our gutters out into our yard to get that water away from the foundation, and then we'll be perfectly fine.
Nice.
So,
and that's, something else too, is that houses are supposed to have the slope, the grade away from the foundation. But over the years, that's going to pack down. And then what used to be the slope is going to be level. And
yeah. And the backfill.
Right.
There's a lot of construction debris in the backfill here when they're pumping out the houses like they have been. So it's a blessing to have a home to go to.
Right.
But if you're used to a really solidly built house, you might need to work with Dave to find that subdivision that has that, if that makes sense.
That's another good plus for an existing home. Anything that's going to happen should have happened already.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, there's some new homes too that are, you can do those proactive steps like get the gutter, get the sloping, get the French drain if it's needed, get the landscaping in right to get it away from the house.
Generally, you're okay once you get to that point.
Yeah. But to be sure, or if you do have a problem, I know who to call.
Yeah. And we would appreciate it.
Yeah. So, Nick, you brought in some other things that, so you've got all sorts of things that people can check out, ideas to run past them for water features and fire pits and koi ponds. Oh my gosh. There's just, when somebody sits down with you to say, I need something, but I don't know what I need, you've got the ideas for them, right?
Yeah, we can definitely steer them in the right direction and have the conversation based around what they're looking for, what budget is needed to get to that point. Like I brought you this Fountainscape inspiration guide.
Yeah.
This is kind of the intro into water features. So some people might want a koi pond. Koi ponds are generally 20 grand and more.
You know who wants a koi pond?
Who wants a koi pond?
The Hawks.
The Hawks would love a koi pond.
They sure do.
Should we put one in at the Birds of Prey? I don't think that's a good idea.
Probably not.
But the Fountainscapes are an easy way to get into it. Much more affordable, more in the $3,800 to $6,000 range, depending.
Okay.
It's a kit that we put in, and we bring your landscape up to it and blend it into the landscape. But basically, people just need to reach out, and if they need help with a design consultation, for $150 to $300, we can come out and actually spend time with you in your yard at your kitchen table,
right,
and start putting together a base idea. Even if you're like, I'm not ready to get a quote and sign a contract, but I would like to plan for the future. I know I want to do something. Then, we can bring our expertise, have that conversation, and kind of go from there.
I like it. And to couple that with the growth that's going on in the Treasure Valley, and now that it's spring, I can only see that you guys are going to get busier and busier. So if you guys want to have the time, pick Nick's brain, have him come out and do some work for you, I wouldn't put it off. I'd get on the calendar, give him a call, just start that conversation, get that relationship going.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it. And we appreciate you for allowing us to be here with you.
Nick, thanks so much for coming by.
Yeah,
it's been my pleasure. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. And what's really important, as we learned from the last video with the gas guy, is you call 811 before you do any digging in the backyard. And if you want to know more about that, make sure you watch this video here. And we'll see you guys on the next video.